is, and calling it work is something I'm getting used to saying. I am primarily a baker, and at this point, I do gay erotic bread on sourdough. So what I essentially do is I try to partner with queer artists that I find across Instagram, and I try to take like the great work that they've done and translate it onto a loaf of bread through a combination of stencil work and work with like a freehand brazier. It's been a really fun creative outlet for me, and it's something that I've like grown really proud of. After graduating from school, my mom passed away from lung cancer, and I was working at a job that I hated, doing breast cancer research at Mass General Hospital. So I went through essentially a like life identity crisis. I came out and essentially said, "F it. I have no idea what I want to do with my life. I have no idea like what I have just no idea." So I essentially packed a bag and I like wandered around the world living out of a backpack for a year and a half. And one of the places I went to was Bhutan, which is this kingdom that's kind of trapped in time and is absolutely stunning and really beautiful. But one of the craziest things about this place is they have literally everywhere, and not just like little graffiti things. These are like artistic giant penises left, right, and center, because it's all about like fertility and all these things, and they're beautiful. It's like carved on wood. They have this like really great, I'm gonna say cartoon design, because it's not like they're supposed to be like hyper realistic, but like calling it a cartoon is not doing that justice. It's art, right? Like there's clearly an art form to it, and that has just like stuck with me as like, this is a thing that is everywhere and they don't think twice about it. Like can absolutely be art and be beautiful, and like they're hysterical. First of all, like just across the board, a giant is a hysterical thing to see anywhere, and I'm a child, so like when I was seeing them everywhere, I was just like, these are great, these are fantastic. They have like bottle openers and like little like name cards. It's great. It was like and truly everywhere. Like you think it's a joke as a tourist, you're like walking around being like, did you guys like set this up just for me, or like is this just like how it is? And it's like, no, that is how it is. So that was in, when was that? That was in 2014. And I didn't start baking until the pandemic. So in 2019, for my 30th birthday, my sister got me a how-to bread book, being like, I was living with my family because of COVID. I have 3 younger sisters. We're all very, very close. So we were like all living together in our house. And it was supposed to be a cute activity that like we do together, right? And then I just fell in love with it and started like doing it and producing all of this bread. And then at one point it was like, just, I don't know, I had nothing to do. So I was just like scrolling through my old photos, and I popped up a picture of all of these in Bhutan. And I was like, you know what? That would be hysterical if I could make that onto a loaf of bread. It's like fun to like feed my predominantly straight family a giant loaf of bread, because the bread is delicious and they're going to eat it. So it's like, fine, it doesn't matter, right? Honestly, just starting to really think about this as art. For a while, it really was just bread, right? And like, I'm coming to terms, which is a crazy way of saying that I have like an artistic ability, right? I generally think of myself more as crafty than like artistic, in the sense of it is so much easier and more enjoyable for me to like have a piece of art and be like, how am I going to translate this into a different medium? Which is why I do all of those collaborations and things, because like I'll start drawing like a face, except for the dicks. The dicks are all mine, and I'm like, oh, I think I've seen enough of these that I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. Like, this is the ideal. But in terms of the art process, it really was just like an escalation of things that I could do, because it started out as very simple. Like if you've seen any normal sourdough, it's all like wheat stalks and like flowers and roses, and it's beautiful. It's all like stunning when they're like nice and simple. And I was like, okay, what can I do? And so it started with bodies. And it started with like just like male body sketches, and they were fine, right? And ever since I've moved into more of like combinations of stencils and using other people's art, it has like gotten a lot more detailed, and like what I'm able to achieve is it's like really cool to see. I get like really excited when I pull it out of the oven, because you never really know how it's going to turn out. Like you do it and you hope for the best, and you're like, okay, let's see what happens. You put it into the oven, and then it like expands and grows because the bread is like kind of alive. And sometimes it explodes. It's just like the design is ruined, and you're like, you know what? At least I have bread. So like, who cares? It's fine. I'll just do it again. So extra bread makes it sound like I'm not eating the bread. And let's be very clear, all the bread gets eaten. I end up giving a lot of it away. I haven't figured out a way that feels good to monetize things. If someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I want a loaf of bread for a special event or something, I'm making bread for them, and then like I'll get paid. But a lot of times I'm like, this is a cathartic experience for me. This is truly an expression of art, right? So I'm like, this week I want to make some bread. And having fresh bread in your house is an unbelievable thing, right? Long story short, there is very little leftover bread. I try not to waste any of the bread. The bread gets eaten. I have doormen, so I'll like give it to the doorman here in New York City if like I'm truly like I have made too many because I'm trying to like create content, or I bring it to school, I feed my classmates. My sister and I eat a fair amount of it. I'm trying to move into sandwich content because I do have so much bread. So I'm like, cool. I honestly love working with Felipe Fernandez. He's a tattoo artist in Berlin. He is so sweet about it and absolutely loves like when I nail it with bread. And like some of the artists don't want to they don't want to collab with it, which is totally fine. It's like they want the tag, but their like page is their like advertising thing, right? So like they don't want it on their page. He's like, absolutely, put it on the page. I absolutely love it. Content does really well, and I just like love his art. I haven't been straight up rejected by many brands, but I have been told like, we're a PG account or something like that. And that is totally fair. And I'm not trying to like get on a soapbox of whatever, right? But it's, as someone who would love to figure out a way to make this work as a career in some capacity, like even if it's just monetization in general, brand partnerships are going to be a vital part of making that as a content creator work. Like that's just how the creator economy works, right? And being told that my content isn't appropriate at first really bothered me, especially when I was like just getting started. I think I mentioned like there was a brand that I was like potentially going to do like gifting with, where they would like hire me to do custom loaves and like feature me in some of their content, but then they just kept saying words like, we need your image to be clean, and things like that, and that made me feel really dirty. And that like I started adjusting what type of content I was doing, and I was like, this no longer feels authentic. And one of the main things that keeps me coming back to the content is the amount of people who reach out and say like, I absolutely love what you're doing. Like a lot, like various different ways of saying like representation matters and things like that, and just like how they see it and it brings them joy. And I'm all about like queer joy, because life is hard, and every once in a while, you know what's going to make your day? Like a giant on a loaf of bread, because like that's going to put a smile on your face for the 30 seconds that you're watching my content. So my work is currently only on Instagram. I am trying to figure out how to, so my handle is Big Dough Energy NYC. I'm trying to figure out TikToks, Big Dough Energy on there. The content guidelines are interesting, so we're figuring out what is and is not allowed. Stay tuned. in terms of like how you can support right now, it's all about just like liking, sharing, engaging. I get a lot of reposts and those bring me joy. I try to like respond to each one. Eventually, like if I start putting out sponsored content, please engage with it. I am trying to, if you're local in New York City and you want a loaf of bread, slide into my DMs and I will get you a loaf of bread. Tell me what you want and we'll make it happen.